who's with us now. Sheriff David Clarke, America's Sheriff. Go to americasheriff.com. Sheriff Clarke, great to have you.
Thanks, John. Good to be on with you again, and good morning to your listeners.
All right, we're going to go baseball, debate, politics. Let's start with baseball. So your Cubs eliminated in 2 games by the Marlins, the AAA Marlins. Once again, Chicago choking when it matters and going down the tubes. What you think about that?
This season it's been a mess anyway. It was really hard to pay any attention to it to begin with. I didn't know for a couple of days they'd been out of it. I went to look one day. I at least look at scores. I don't watch much sports, and I look and it says, well, let's see. I knew the Cubs got in, but what the heck? And I found like 2 days earlier they had been eliminated. So it's just kind of hard to get into it right now.
Well, especially when your team got eliminated. My team, on the other hand, made mincemeat of the Twinkies, and now they're up 2-1 over the A's. They're gonna win today, move on, get back to the World Series, and win the whole thing. If you're not cheating,
Wouldn't
you're not trying.
Something?
I can't.
Wouldn't that be something?
They got their
poetic justice for them to win.
It would be, wouldn't it? Thank you for saying that. And they got their swag back. I mean, they blew a lead yesterday in the 7th inning, but look, they had to waste their ace closer. He threw 40 pitches, fifth 3 innings. He's done. We get a lead today. We're going to win that game and close it out and go on to play the winner of the Tampa Yankee series and get back to the World Series. And it would be poetic justice. And you're right. Thanks for saying it. That's why I'm fired up, Sheriff Clarke.
Yeah, I think I'll pull for him. How's that?
I would appreciate that. Thank you. Your Cubs are out. You might look. If the Astros were out, I'd be pulling for your Cubs, just because that's what friends do for friends, Sheriff. All right, let's get to the debate last night. What did you think?
Well, here's how I watch the vice presidential debates. I look, I listen, and I say to myself, or I ask myself, would I be comfortable if something were to happen to the president or the commander-in-chief? Would I be comfortable with that person that I'm looking at, the 2 candidates here? Would I be comfortable with them taking over? And obviously, with Mike Pence, because of his experience, he did what he was supposed to do, and that's support the president. All right, you don't upstage the president. You're a messenger for the president. So he's gone on. He's done a good job of that for the last few years. I look at Kamala Harris. And you know what? She's just not ready for prime time. She doesn't have the chops. I was looking at her and thinking, would I be comfortable with her taking over as president should something happen to Joe Biden? And the answer is absolutely not. This is a woman who was in the primary for the Democrat nomination for president. She was the first one in. She had a big lead. She had more money than anybody else. She was the first one out, for heaven's sake. So the Democrat voters basically were saying, we're not ready. We don't want her as president of the United States. So I don't know what makes them think that the Democrats want her as vice president of the United States. She got out of the primary. She had to bow out before one vote was cast, before the Iowa caucuses, for heaven's sake. So that's kind of how I watch that thing.
So let me give you a little feedback here from some of our callers that want to weigh in via text. I'm going to go down the line. Corey in Williamsburg says, Sheriff, what will Biden-Harris administration do about burning cities, or will just winter solve it? Corey in Williamsburg.
Yeah, that seems to be the strategy that many of these mayors have and governors is, well, guess we'll wait for winter to hit. But in some of the warmer states, it's going to be a little tough. But in terms of what Harris and Biden would do, they would stand by and just watch these cities burn.
So Eugene in Chesterfield just texted this. I haven't confirmed it, but he said this was just announced. Next week's debate will be virtual. That is a disaster for the president, because that means that Biden can do teleprompters, scripts, basically read stuff. So I haven't confirmed that, but that's what one of our people texted in to say. I mean, if you're going to have the virtual debate, I don't even know why you would bother with it, because Biden can just read stuff, have teleprompters. You can't monitor anything he's doing, and I don't think that's helpful.
Yeah, I agree, and I would say this: if that's true, I think you have to have somebody monitor that from the the news network, whoever has that one. You got to have a representative in the room to make sure that the rules are being, applied, and nobody's cheating. All right, we all know the Democrats are good at cheating. They're good at cheating in elections. And if you don't have a monitor, someone to monitor in both sides,
Mm-hmm.
it's just ripe for cheating, for the kind of things that you're talking about that Joe Biden would do, reading from teleprompters, having someone answer for him, in his ear, whatever, so on and so forth. But I still think too much is made of these presidential debates. I don't think that they move the needle. As we could see, there were a couple polls taken this week after the debate between Biden and the president, and the needle didn't move much. I just don't think these things matter.
Well, almost everybody's made their mind up. So now what I've been saying, we've all been saying this is about mobilization, not persuasion. People made their mind up. They know what they're going to do. Now you just got to go get your vote out. I mean, by the time the third debate comes, over half the people in the United States would have already cast their vote. So it's kind of moot. But a virtual debate doesn't do anything for me, if indeed they're going to do that. Darren in Richmond says, as Sheriff Clarke, I found Harris to be not trustworthy or even likable. She's arrogant. What say Sheriff Clarke?
Yes, she's not likable. I think the Democrat voters proved that by kicking her to the curb early on. She never caught fire. She never. Her campaign was disorganized. This is coming from people who were inside the campaign. They said they had never seen a campaign so disorganized. These were veteran people who had worked on other presidential campaigns, other presidential primary campaigns. They said she was very disorganized. She was all over the map. Mm-hmm. She didn't have a core set of values. She didn't have a core set of beliefs, and it showed. So, yeah, that's, whatever that was at Texas, that's what came through with Kamala Harris.
Well, she has a set of values, and that's power. She has a set of principles, and that's her personal ambition. And you've seen through her history, she'll do anything and everything in order to get there without going into some of the sordid details. She doesn't really care what she has to do in order for her to ascend to her ambition, which is to accumulate power. These are scary people. And I think she proved that last evening. She was smug. She was condescending. She's not a likable human being. And she's a liar. So, you add all that stuff up, and I don't see it. Of course, the mainstream media was calling her the big winner of the debate, that she was very, she stood up to Pence by saying, I'm speaking, or whatever it is that the T-shirt came out with today. But again, the media never asked her like a question that she had to defend. Like, why didn't they ask her, well, you called Joe Biden a racist in the first debate, said you were very offended by what he did. Do you still think he's a racist? Like, where was that question, right? But they could ask Pence, on the other hand, all questions to put the administration on the defensive. That's where the fake news comes in. Sheriff Clarke with us. All right. Let's get off the debate. I don't think it moved the needle. I don't think next week's virtual debate, I think that's a waste of time. I don't think that's going to do anything. Where do you see this election, Sheriff Clarke, right now?
Well, I think better than 50-50 for Trump. It's going to be close. It's going to be very important for the RNC, very important for the Trump campaign to have it get out the vote. We're going to need darn near 100% turnout from the conservatives and Republicans. As close to 100% as you can get. Democrats probably only need about 75%. There are more registered Democrats in this country than Republicans, although the Republican Party has done, in some of the key swing states, has done a great job of voter registration. They're outdoing the Democrats. But it isn't just about registering voters, as you and your listeners know. It's about getting out the vote. Who can mobilize and energize their people to actually vote, for heaven's sakes? I saw there's a couple demographics that I'll be watching. One of them, I saw an article the other day, and it said that there are about 60 million Christians in the United States, and only 30 million, 50% are not registered to vote or don't regularly vote. The evangelicals are a huge, huge demographic for the president. He's been very upfront on religion, freedom of religion. And so I think, I see some of the things that they're going after, and it kind of puzzles me. Like, chasing suburban women, for heaven's sake. It's okay. You don't kick those demographics to the curbs, the black vote, for instance, but you can't rely on that because it didn't come out for you last time. So I think that if you stick with your base supporters, and the evangelicals are a big part of that. I mean, if 30 million Christians are not registered to vote or don't vote regularly, if they could get 15 to 20% of that to come out, Trump would walk away winning this thing. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'll be looking for, at the, in the post-election. How's he doing some key demographics that he's got to do strong, and he has to do well with evangelicals. They helped him last time.
I really see what you're saying here, and a lot of people now in the Trump campaign are saying that this shift of suburban women, we're just not going to get those. So why keep chasing them? But you're right. It's evangelicals. It's rural voters. It's all the people that we know are out there who are Trump supporters that we have to bring to the polls and stop worrying about, suburban, liberal, highly educated women that hate his tweets. You're never going to get them. I don't quite know what they want because when the mobs come and burn down their houses and break through their gated communities with their 3 security guards and they can't defend themselves, I don't know what they're going to do then. I don't know. So apparently they've thought this through, and they think that Biden opening up the borders and creating mass voters that are going to keep the Democrats in power forever. Somehow they think that's going to be a good thing for them. But Sheriff, you're right. I mean, we have to get on to the voters that we know are going to turn out for us. So when you say we got 30 million voters out there that either don't vote or not registered, and we got 26 days to go, what do you do?
Well, you got to appeal to them, all right? Your messaging, that's where the campaign comes in. That's where your things like your mailers, your ads, so on and so forth, should be geared toward them. They'll know what to do. You don't have to tell evangelicals who to vote. You got Biden up there, these people in Harris. Harris, for heaven's sake, supports abortion after the baby's pulled from the womb. I mean, this kind of stuff is sick. And so when you that's how I would gear the ads, the support for abortion. These people have removed God from the public square. They've marginalized God. They've marginalized religion. They've closed down churches. These Democrat governors have closed down churches, over this, hyped up pandemic. And that's how you message to them. That kind of stuff is important to them. And they'll see through, the other nonsense that goes on the back and forth. I mean, that's what's going to be on the ballot, really, in November, besides, like you said, John, immigration, the border, the courts are still a big factor, that sort of thing. But I don't know. I would really hit hard in the last couple of weeks, evangelicals. They can make the difference. They can make a huge difference in this campaign.
Well, they made the difference in 2016. They can do it again in 2020, no question. Let's shift gears. Let's get to John Ratcliffe, who is now trying to get all of these documents out, but he's running into resistance. Barr doesn't want to release them. He wants to protect the Department of Justice. Wray doesn't want to release them. He wants to protect the integrity, I guess, of the FBI. Gina Haspel, CIA, she doesn't want to release them because she's very concerned about the reputation of the agency. All these people involved in the Trump fake Russian dossier, the fake FISA court, the spying on the campaign. Now we understand it all came from Hillary's campaign, that they wanted a distraction from her servers. When is this stuff going to get out, and when are these people going to be held accountable?
Well, this is one of the longstanding problems in Washington, D.C. The president has declassified this stuff. The president gives an order, you're supposed to follow it. I think heads need to roll. And by the way, the word integrity and FBI should never be used in the same sentence. Their integrity is in the toilet right now. Mm-hmm. They don't have any integrity. The Justice Department, Rosenstein, people like that, we're all in on it. They're all protecting themselves right now. That's what's going on here. This has nothing to do with endangering national security. If there was some skullduggery going on within the deep state there, the American people deserve to know about it. The president's busy right now. He's trying to win re-election. job one. But I'll tell you what, at the same time, I think some phone calls need to be made from the chief of staff and others and issue an order and do just like, who was that woman who was the sitting Attorney General, Yates?
Right.
When she didn't,
Sally
when
Yates.
she refused to carry out the president's orders, he fired her. I think heads have to roll. That will get people's attention.
That's the only thing that's going to fix this is indictments. And I have no confidence there'll be any indictments. In fact, I've been saying,
there won't.
Sheriff, I've been saying for 6 months, the Barr, Durham investigation, it's going to be like the Inspector General. Somebody didn't dot an I, somebody didn't cross a T, somebody was sloppy.
There was no intent.
There was no intent. The paperwork was wrong. Somebody, the
Some
dog
minor
ate it.
mistakes.
Right, the dog ate the report. It's a joke. They're never going to allow their own swamp to be drained because they're all part of it. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on. Doesn't matter how effective Gina Haspel is. They're there to protect the status quo because they know these presidents come and go. Now it's Trump. Tomorrow it's Biden. After that, it'll be somebody else. The agency lives on, and they do whatever it is that they want to do. And it just all got exposed. And the fake news media is not going to do anything. They're not going to be clamoring to get any of this stuff out. In fact, since we've learned that this was all a ploy from the Clinton campaign, has it been in the New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NPR, anywhere? No.
Well, Biden. What did he know and when did he know it?
Yeah, what did he know and when did he know it? And he was in those meetings. And now he's running for president. And are they going to ask him that question in their virtual debate next week? Of course not.
Of course not.
No, but they're going to ask Trump about what are you doing about white militias roaming the streets and terrorizing citizens. By the way, where is that? I haven't seen any of that. Am I missing that? Because they keep asking about it.
Well, Biden has his canned answers for questions that he doesn't want to answer. Look how he did last time when they asked him, when Wallace asked him directly about stacking the court, and he says, I don't want to answer that because the answer will become news, the story, something like that. He'll just claim ignorance, that he didn't know, he wasn't part of it, just like he did with his son, Hunter Biden. He said, I don't know what my son was out there doing and things with China, but now we find out that, in fact, Biden was in on it, knew all along, because policy decisions were being made out of the White House, Biden relationship with people in Ukraine, so on and so forth. So he'll just deny it, and that's what these people do in Washington. They just lie, they just deny, keep lying, keep denying, and eventually the media will stop talking about it if you're a Democrat or if you're a liberal. But of course, the media today, the liberal media, is still talking about Russia collusion. For heaven's sake, that thing has been debunked.
It's unbelievable.
From the very beginning, but they still bring it up.
Unbelievable. Sheriff, one at a time. I want to thank America's Sheriff, Sheriff David Clarke, watching on Newsmax. Sheriff, thanks for being with us. Sorry about the Cubs. Go Astros.
Let's go.
Thank you, Sheriff.